Welcome to Class 12th Accounts from Incomplete Records. This is Chapter 1. Let us start with some introduction. What do you really mean by an incomplete accounting record? So, generally, the accounting records not maintained as per the double entry system are called incomplete accounting records. So this is generally maintained by those businesses which don't have a legal requirement to maintain records using a complete double entry system. And in this system of accounting, cash and personal accounts are generally maintained. Whenever there is an increase in capital, it is considered as a profit, and whenever there is a decrease, it is considered as a loss. This is an incomplete and unscientific way of bookkeeping, and all the established accounting principles and accounting standards are not followed in this system of accounting. Now, let us get into the exercise. This is the first problem in the exercise. So, it has the capital at the beginning of the year, and it also has a capital at the end. There is a capital introduced during the year, and then you have a drawings during the year, and you have been asked to ascertain the profit or loss. Now let us see how we can go ahead and solve this problem. What we normally do is, to ascertain the profit or loss, we prepare something called a statement of profit or loss, and this format is going to be similar across all the problems that we would be solving. So we start with the closing capital. Okay, so in this case, the closing capital as of 31st March 2019, because that is the closing date. The closing capital is 8,50,000. You can see that given in the problem, right? Let us proceed now. I hope you're clear up to this. Drawings. So drawings is something which you always have to add to the closing capital. Okay, and again, what is the drawings during the year is again given in the problem. It is 70,000. Okay, drawings during the year 70,000. I bring it down here, and now I just add these two. I get 9,20,000. Okay, and then to this I deduct the additional capital. So what is the additional capital introduced during the year? It is again given in the problem. It is 1,20,000. So 1,20,000 is something I bring it here, and then I deduct it from 9.2 lakhs. So then I get the adjusted closing capital, which is 8 lakhs. So 8 lakhs is nothing but 9.2 lakhs minus 1.2 lakhs. Okay, I hope you're clear up to this. Now from this we have to deduct the opening capital. Opening capital as on 1st April 2018. Okay, that is 5 lakhs. So 8 lakhs minus 5 lakhs, obviously it is going to be a positive figure, which is 3 lakhs. So if it is positive, it represents profit. So profit made during the year is 3 lakhs. Okay, so the things that you should note here is, whenever we talk about a closing capital, it means capital as at the end of the year. So in this case, the year starts from April and ends in March. So the closing date would be 31st March, and then the beginning date is going to be 1st of April, and the year is going to be 1st of April 2018, and then the closing date is going to be 31st March 2019. Okay, so I hope you're clear with this first problem. So let us move on. Now let us go to the second problem. And just keep in mind this format. This is the format which we will be using to solve all the problems. Okay, now this is the second problem. the capital as on 1st January has been given. Capital as on 31st December is also given. Additional capital is there. Drawings made during the year. So from this, I hope you can now determine what is the opening capital and what is the closing capital, right? So what is the opening capital? Opening capital will be 2.2 lakhs because the opening date is 1st Jan. And then the closing capital would be 1.8 lakhs because the closing date for the year is 31st December. Okay, fine. Now let us proceed. So as I have mentioned earlier, we have a standard format for preparing the statement of profit or loss. We start with the closing capital, and in this case, the closing capital is going to be as on 31st December 2018. Okay, and the amount is given in the problem. What is the amount? It is 1.8 lakhs. Okay, and then we are following the same pattern that we have followed in the previous problem, which means the next item will be drawings, which we have to add to the closing capital. So add drawings. How much is the drawings made during the year? It is again given in the problem. It is 50,000. Okay, so add drawings 50,000. I get 2.3 lakhs. To this, I will deduct additional capital. So what is the additional capital introduced? It is 40,000. So I deduct 40,000 from 2.3 lakhs. I get adjusted closing capital, which is going to be 1.9 lakhs. Okay, so just keep in mind, the moment you say less additional capital, the next item will be adjusted closing capital. Okay, and now what will be the next item? Yes, it is the opening capital which you have to deduct. What is the opening date first? It is 1st January 2018. So the period is from the 12-month period starts from 1st January and ends on 31st December. Okay, so it is always a 12 months period. Now, what is the opening capital as of 1st January? It is 2.2 lakhs. Now, you just need to think here a bit. So 1.9 lakhs minus 2.2 lakhs, whether it will be a positive figure or will it be a negative figure? Let me again repeat. The adjusted closing capital is 1.9 lakhs. The opening capital which you are going to reduce from it is 2.2 lakhs. So 1.9 minus 2.2 will give you a negative figure, right? So if it is a negative figure, what does it mean? It means it is a loss. It is not a profit. So minus 30,000 is nothing but the loss made during the year. Okay, fine. I hope I was clear. Let me move on to the third problem. Now, in the third problem, it is starting with the closing capital. It has the details for additional capital, drawings, opening capital. Okay, opening capital has not been given here. So that is a number which you need to find out. Loss for the year has been given. Okay, so now what is the 12 months period here? It starts from 1/4/2017 to 31st March 2018. So that is the 1 year period. Okay, so let us start with the statement of profit or loss. We follow our regular format. Okay, we start with the closing capital. What is the closing capital as of 31st March? Again, look at the problem. In the problem, it has been given. It is 80,000. Next, how much is going to be your drawings for the year? Again, look at what is given in the problem. It is 15,000. You can add 15,000 to this. Then this gives you 95,000. So 80 plus 15 is 95,000. Now less additional capital. What is the additional capital introduced during the year? It is 30,000. Okay, so now I have to reduce 30,000 from 95,000. I'll get adjusted closing capital, which is going to be 65,000. So normally I will deduct the opening capital from the adjusted closing capital, and what will I get? I'll get the profit or loss, correct? Now I don't have the opening capital, so this is something which I need to find out. Okay, so we'll just proceed. We'll keep it blank for the time being. So the opening capital as on 1st April 2017, leave it blank. go to the next step. What is a loss during the year? Loss is minus 25,000. Okay, so 65,000 minus something gives us minus 25,000. So which means what will be the balancing figure? The balancing figure has to be 65 plus 25, which is 90,000. Okay, so if you have 90,000 as the opening capital, then if you work out, you will see that 65 minus 90 gets you minus 25,000, which is a loss during the year. Okay, so you need to work back a bit to arrive at 90,000 here. Okay, so I hope I'm clear. Let us go to the fourth problem. Capital as on 1st January has been given, goods withdrawn for personal use. What does it mean? It means you have to consider this as drawings. Okay. Now additional capital introduced during the year 15, fine, profit for the year is 60,000. So what is it that you have been asked to find out? Okay, so it is the capital as on 31st December. Is it the opening or the closing? It is the closing capital. Fine, let us proceed. Let us get into our standard format now. Statement of profit or loss is something which we will prepare for this. Okay, so what is the closing capital? This is going to be the balancing figure. Okay, so just proceed without populating the figure against closing capital. To this, what we normally do, drawings is something which we add. Yes, and we do have the figure for drawings, which in this case is 30,000. So you just put 30,000 as drawings, and then less additional capital. Additional capital introduced during the year is 15,000. So you say 15 here, and then what is going to be the adjusted closing capital? Again, you don't know at this point, you just leave it blank. Less opening capital as on 1st January 2018 is how much? 1 lakh. This is given in the problem. And then what else is given? Oh yes, profit for the year. Profit for the year is how much? 60,000. Fine. Now you need to just work back. Okay, so if you have a opening capital of 1 lakh and profit for the year is 60,000, how much should your adjusted closing capital be? Okay, so what you need to do is you need to just add 1 lakh plus 60,000. If you add 1 lakh plus 60, how much you will get? 1.6 lakhs. Fine. So that is what you need to put here. Okay, so now you see 1.6 minus 1 lakh, you will get 60,000. Fine. Am I making it clear? Yeah, okay. So now adjusted closing capital is 1.6 lakhs. Additional capital is 15. So what should be the figure that you need to get after the drawings of 30? Fine. So it has to be a figure of 1,75,000. So if you have a figure of 1,75,000 and from that you reduce 15, you get to the closing capital, adjusted closing capital of 1.6 lakhs. Okay, so again, you need to just follow the same pattern here. So if you have to fill up that blank just above 15,000, what you need to do is 15 plus 1.6 lakhs gives you 1,75,000. So let me again repeat, it is going to be 15,000 plus 1.6, which will give you 1,75,000, which you will fill up here. Okay, and then you have 1,75,000 and drawings of 30,000. So what should be your closing capital? There is a figure to which if you add 30, you will get 1.75. Okay, so how you will determine that figure? It has to be 1,75,000 minus 30, which will give you 1,45,000. Okay, so this is your closing capital. Now you just do a quick check. 1.45 plus 30 gives you 1.75. 1.75 less 15 gives you 1.6, and then 1.6 minus 1 gives you 60,000. Fine. Okay, so which means your calculation is perfect. Okay, fine. So now let me proceed to the fifth problem. From the following details, calculate the missing figure. So you have the capital as on 1st April, capital as on 31st March, additional capital, profit, drawings during the year. Okay, so this looks like a pretty straightforward problem. So let us proceed. We'll do the statement of profit or loss and then start populating the figures. Closing capital. So the year starts on 1st April and ends on 31st March. Okay, so ideally the closing date is 31st March 2019. So the closing capital as on 31st March 2019 is 50,000. To this we have to add drawings. Now drawings is not given in the problem, so which means this will be a balancing figure. Okay, so let us just proceed. Then we have to reduce the additional capital introduced during the year, which in this case is 7,000. What we get will be the adjusted closing capital, but again we don't have the amount here, so just leave it blank. And from this we have to reduce the opening capital as on 1st April 2018, which in this case is 40,000. So this gives us profit for the year, which is 8,000. So now you need to work back. Okay, so 40,000 is the opening capital. Profit for the year is 8, which means how much is going to be my adjusted capital? Can you make a quick guess? Yes, what you need to do is you need to simply add 40 and 8 to get 48. So adjusted closing capital will be 48. Okay, and then 7,000 is the additional capital. So which means what should be the figure above 7,000? So it is going to be 48 plus 7, which will give you 55,000. Okay, so this figure is 55,000. You can do a quick check. If the figure on top of 7,000 is 55 and from that figure you reduce 7, how much you're getting? 48. And from 48, if you deduct 40,000, how much you're getting? 8,000. Fine, which means whatever numbers you have populated till now, it's all right. Fine. So now where we are trying to find out the drawings. Fine. The closing capital is 50. To 50 you need to add something in order to get 55,000. So what you will add? You have to add 5,000. Okay, how you will get 5,000? 55 minus 50,000, you will get 5,000. Okay, fine. So this is how we need to solve this problem. I hope you have understood this. Let me move on to the sixth problem. Fine. Following are the balances in the books of Thomas. As on 31st March, we have sundry creditors, furniture, land and building, debtors, bills payable, cash in hand, bills receivable, and stock. So what you have been asked to do is you've been asked to prepare a statement of affairs and you have been asked to compute the capital as at that date. Okay, fine. So let us start. Let us start preparing a statement of affairs. This is going to be as of 31st March. Creditors. How much is a creditors? Creditors 6 lakhs. Okay, again, creditors, just keep in mind it is a liability. So that's why we are bringing it under the liability section. Next, under the liability section, we are bringing bills payable. Okay, bills payable is a liability and the amount is 1.2 lakhs. Are we having anything else in the liability section? The only other point will be the capital, and this is something which you need to figure out, so that will be a balancing figure. Okay, now let us move on to the asset side. On the assets, let us start with cash. How much is the cash that we have? Cash is 20,000. Then we have the other assets, bills receivable. Just remember, bills receivable is an asset, whereas bills payable is a liability. Okay, so bills receivable is an asset. How much is the bills receivable? It is 60,000. And then what do we have? We have stock. How much is the stock? 2.2 lakhs. And then we have furniture is 80,000. Then we have land and buildings, it is 3 lakhs. And then we also have sundry debtors. So sometimes the word sundry is left out, so you will get used to it. So sundry debtors, sundry creditors are sometimes also written as just debtors and creditors. So debtors is 3.2 lakhs. So the total of the assets is 10 lakhs. Now you extend this total to the liability side. So now you work back and find out what is this balancing figure which represents capital. So creditors 6 lakhs, bills payable 1.2. If you add up, you will get 7.2 lakhs. So 10 lakhs minus 7.2 lakhs, you get 2.8 lakhs. So this is the capital as on the date, in which case it is 31st March 2019. Okay, fine. So what you need to know here is you need to know what are the items which will go into the assets and what are the items which will go onto the liability section. Okay, so if you're not clear, then you will not get to the right answer. Okay, let us proceed. This is the seventh problem. So this says on 1st April, Shubha started her business with a capital of 1.2 lakhs. She did not maintain the proper books of accounts, and following particulars are available from her books as of 31st March 2019. Okay, so the opening date is 1st April 2018 and then the closing date is 31st March 2019. It is a period of 12 months. And you have these items. Bank overdraft. Is it an asset or a liability? It is a liability. Then debtors 1.8 lakhs. It is an asset. Bills receivable, it is an asset. Computer 30,000 will be an asset. Machinery 3 lakhs is an asset. And then we have stock in trade, creditors, bills payable, cash. So what happened is during the year she has drawn 30,000 for her personal use. So what does this mean? It represents drawings. And then she has also introduced a capital of 40,000 during the year. This is additional capital introduced during the year. So with this information, what you have been asked to do is you have been asked to find out the profit or loss for Shubha. Okay, so let us start by preparing the statement of affairs. We start with the bank overdraft in this case, which is going to be 50,000. And then on the liability side, we have creditors, which is 90,000. Further, we have bills payable. Always remember, bills payable is a liability. Okay, bills payable is a liability, which is 2.4 lakhs. And then capital is the other item on the liabilities. We don't have the figure right now, so you just keep it as a balancing figure. Let us now move on to the assets. On the assets, we have debtors, which is 1.8 lakhs. Then we have bills receivable, which is 70,000. Okay. Then what else? Computer. How much is a computer? 30,000. Fine. And then machinery. How much it is? 3 lakhs. And then we have stock in trade. It is 1.6 lakhs. And then finally, what else is still left? Cash is 60,000. Okay, so now these are the various assets and the liabilities that were given in the problem. And capital is not something that we know as of 31st March. Okay, the amount given in the problem is the opening capital. So you can't just put the opening capital here. Okay, this is supposed to be the closing capital. That is the reason why we haven't populated the figure for capital. Now, if I add the asset side, I'll get 8 lakhs. Now I'll extend this to the liability side, 8 lakhs. And from this, I'll determine what is my closing capital. Okay, so the closing capital is 4.2 lakhs. Okay, fine. So as I mentioned, you should not be putting the figure of 1.2 lakhs here against capital. Why? Because the figure of 1.2 lakhs is the capital as of 1st April, whereas this statement of affairs we are preparing as of 31st March 2019. Okay, so this is the closing capital. Fine. So now we know what is the opening capital. We also know what is the closing capital. With all this, you can find out what is the profit or loss, right? Okay, so let us go ahead and prepare a statement of profit or loss. So statement of profit or loss. We know what is the closing capital, which we found out. It is 4.2 lakhs. Okay. So I hope you remember how we arrived at 4.2 lakhs in the previous statement of affairs that we prepared. And now drawings. How much she withdrew? 30,000. So you have to add 30,000 to this and you get 4.5 lakhs. To this, you have to reduce any additional capital if it was introduced during the year. And there has been 40,000 of additional capital that Shobha has introduced. So if you reduce 40,000, you get to the adjusted closing capital, which is 4.1 lakh. Okay. And from this, what you need to do? You need to reduce the opening capital. Yes. If you reduce the opening capital as on 1st April, which is 1.2 lakhs, you will get to the figure of 2.9 lakhs, which is nothing but profit for the year. Okay, fine. I hope this is all making sense to you. And all that we are doing is following a standard format for the statement of profit or loss. We always start with the closing capital. To that we add drawings and then we reduce the additional capital to get to the adjusted closing capital, and then further from there we reduce the opening capital to arrive at the profit for the year. And if this figure is a minus figure, then it means loss for the year. Fine. We'll go to the next problem. Question number 8. So Raju does not keep proper books of accounts and following other details. So the details have been given for 2 years or for two periods as of 1st January 2018, which is the opening date, and then it is 31st December 2018, which is the closing date. So you have the opening balance and you also have the closing balance. And further, some additional information has been given. It says that he has introduced further capital of 50,000. What does this mean? It means he has introduced additional capital and he has withdrawn 2,500 per month. Okay, so it is 2,500 per month. So then you need to effectively find out what is the drawings for the full year. Okay, which means you have to multiply 2,500 by 12. That will give you 30,000. So 2,500 per month of drawings effectively translates to 30,000 per annum. Okay, so just keep that in mind. And with this, what we have been asked to do is first we need to prepare the statement of affairs, and then we will go ahead and prepare the profit or loss. Okay, fine. So we'll start with the statement of affairs and fill up the details that we have with us. So we have the creditors, the sundry creditors 1.3 lakhs and 1,95,000 for the opening and the closing periods that is given in the problem. Sundry creditors, as I have told you earlier, it is a liability, so you can't place the creditors under an asset head. Okay. Then we have the bank loan. Obviously, loan is a liability, and the loan, the opening and the closing is one and the same. It is 60,000. Then bills payable. Bills payable is again a liability. It is 80,000 as of 1st January 2018 and 45,000 as of 31st December 2018. And then capital. Do we know what is the opening and the closing capital? We don't know, right? So that will be a balancing figure. Okay, so let us come to it at a later point in time. You just keep it blank at this point of time. Move over to assets now. So on the assets, we start with cash at bank. 80,000 is as of 1st Jan and 90,000 is as of 31st December. And then stock of goods 1.8 to begin with, and then 1.4 lakhs towards the end of the year. And debtors, we have 90,000 as of 1/1/2018 and 2 lakhs as of 31st December 2018. Then we have plant and machinery. Plant and machinery is 1,70,000 opening, 1,70,000 closing. So these are the various assets that we have with us, the total of which is 5.2 lakhs and then 6 lakhs. So now you just extend this to the liability side. You extend the same total to the liability side. Okay. So this is what you get. And now from this, you can find out what is the capital, which is the balancing figure. Okay. So for example, if you have to find out capital as of 1/1/2018, what you will do is you will take 5.2 lakhs, and from that you will deduct 1.3 lakhs and then 60,000 and 80,000. Okay. And if you want to find out the capital as of 31st December, you start with 6 lakhs, and from 6 you will deduct 1.95, 160,000 and 45,000. Okay. So if you do this, this is what you will get. The opening capital is 2.5 lakhs and the closing capital is 3 lakhs. Okay, I hope this step is not very confusing for you, and you can easily follow what I'm saying. So now that we have the capital opening and closing, and we can easily find out the profit or loss. Okay, so if at all you had a doubt as to why we prepared this statement of affairs, it is to determine the capital, the opening capital and the closing capital. That was the reason why we went ahead and prepared this statement of affairs. So now we will proceed to determine the profit or loss. Okay. Statement of profit or loss. We know what is the closing capital, which we have determined earlier. The closing capital is 3 lakhs. Okay, how much is the closing capital? The closing capital is 3 lakhs as of 31st December 2018. To this, we will be adding the drawings. So as I mentioned earlier, he was drawing 2,500 per month. Okay, so you have to multiply it by 12 months in a year in order to get the drawings for the year, which is going to be 30,000. So you add 30 to 3 lakhs, you get 3.3 lakhs. And from this, you will reduce the additional capital. So what is the additional capital introduced? In the problem, it has been given that he introduced a further capital of 50,000. Okay, so this 50,000 is nothing but the additional capital. So you reduce the additional capital of 50,000, you get the adjusted closing capital, which is 2.8 lakhs. From this, what you need to do is you need to reduce the opening capital as on 1st January 2018 in this case, which is 2.5 lakhs. So 2.8 minus 2.5 will give you a positive figure, or will it give you a negative figure? Yes, it is going to give you a positive figure. So positive figure represents profit for the year, which is 30,000. Okay, are you clear? Fine. Okay, then let us proceed now. Let us go to the ninth problem. This is a slightly big a problem compared to the earlier ones you have solved. So it starts by saying Anand does not keep his books under double entry. Find the profit or loss made by him during the year. Okay, so you have the data for the two periods, the opening and the closing. 31st March 2018 is nothing but the previous year's closing, which is the current year's opening, and 31st March is the current year closing. Okay, and it says cash at bank. Okay, now cash at bank 5,000 debit, 60,000 credit. So cash is normally an asset. Okay, an asset should have a debit balance. So if it is debit, then it means it is an asset. If it is credit, it means it is a liability. Probably in this case there is an overdraft or something on those lines. So that is the reason why 60,000 has been shown as a credit item. Okay, so 60,000 should go into a liability, whereas 5,000 should go under asset. And then we have other items: cash in hand, stock, debtors, plant and machinery, land and building, and creditors. Okay. And then Anand had withdrawn 60,000 for his personal use. So what does this mean? It means it is drawings for the year. And then he had introduced 70,000 as capital for expansion. And this represents additional capital during the year. On top of it, they say he has to create a provision of 5% on debtors. So the provision is something which we will always do on the closing balance. So what is the closing balance in this case? 90,000 is the closing balance of sundry debtors. So we have to create a 5% provision on 90,000. And then plant and machinery has to be depreciated at 10%. So what is the closing plant and machinery? It is 80,000, on which you have to depreciate by applying a rate of 10%. Okay, fine. We'll see how we do all of this. We start with preparing a statement of affairs as on 31st March and 31st March 2019. Sorry, 31st March 2018 and 31st March 2019. We start with bank. So bank, as I told you, we saw an amount of 60,000 as a credit. So which means it is a liability. Okay, so now I have shown bank under liabilities head. Then I have creditors. Again, this is something given in the problem. It is 1.7 lakhs and 1.3 lakhs. And then capital. We don't know what is the capital as on these dates. So this will be a balancing figure. And we don't have anything else on the liability. So now let us move over to the asset side. The first item would obviously be bank. And we know 5,000 is an asset. So I have put it as the opening balance. Then cash 3,000, 4,500. Again, this is given in the problem. I am just populating the figures for each of the years. Then we have stock 35,000, 45,000, and then we have debtors. So you just need to watch out here what is going to happen, because there is not going to be any change in the opening debtors, but there will be a change on the closing debtors. Let's see how it works out. So debtors, the opening debtors was 1 lakh. Okay, and then if you look at the problem, it says the closing sundry debtor was 90,000, on which you have been asked to create a provision of 5%. Okay, so 90,000, on which if you apply a provision of 5%, how much you will get? 5% on 90,000 is 4,500. Okay, so you reduce 4,500 from 90,000, you get a closing provision of 85,500. Okay, so this is what you should show as the closing debtors. Okay, so the closing debtors is 85,500. Okay, then plant and machinery. Again, the opening plant and machinery is 80,000, and then it says you need to depreciate it by 5%. So 80,000 minus 8,000, you get 72,000, which is the closing plant and machinery after depreciation. Fine. Okay, then I hope you're clear on the debtors and the plant and machinery, how we arrived at the closing balances. If not, you again look at how we have done the workings in the bottom section of the screen. Okay, I'm now proceeding to land and buildings. Land and buildings, no change, opening, closing, one and the same. So with this, we determine what is the total of the assets. It is 3,63,000 and 3,47,000. We extend the same total to the liability side, and then we work back and find out what should be the capital. So capital obviously is the balancing figure. So 3,63,000 minus 1,70,000 gives us 1,93,000. That is the capital for the period 31st March 2018. And similarly 3,47,000 minus 60 minus 1.3 lakhs will give us 1,57,000. That would be the capital as of 31st March 2019. And there you go. Okay, so you can quickly check 1.7 plus 1.93, you get 3.63 lakhs, and then 60 plus 1.3 plus 1.57, you get 3.47. Okay, so 3,47,000, 3,63,000, these are the totals for liabilities. Okay, so now that you have arrived at the opening capital and the closing capital, what you can do next is you can determine the profit. So let us see how we arrive at the profit. So we prepare a statement of profit or loss, and then we start with the closing capital, which we have already identified. The closing capital is 1,57,000. To this we add drawings. Okay, so drawings is a figure of 60,000. So once you add drawings, you get to a figure of 2,17,000. Okay, and from this, what we do is we reduce the additional capital which has been introduced during the year. The additional capital introduced is 17,000. And once you reduce 17, you get to the adjusted capital. Okay, the adjusted capital is 2 lakhs. And then from this, you reduce the opening capital, which again you have found out the opening capital was 1,93,000. From this, you will get what is the profit for the year. So 2 lakhs minus 1,93 will obviously be a positive figure. So which means it is a profit. The profit for the year is 7,000. Okay. So I hope you have understood this problem. I know it is quite a complicated one, but if you follow what I have said, I'm sure you will be able to easily complete this problem. Now let me go to the 10th one. So this problem asks you to find out the credit sales. It is slightly different from the ones which you have looked at from 1 to 9. So let us see how you can go ahead and find out the credit sales. Okay, what are the things that have been given here? You have information on opening debtors, cash received, discount allowed, returns inward. So what does returns inward mean? It means it is a sales return. Okay, just keep in mind, returns inward means a sales return, return outward means it is a purchase return. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so don't get confused. And then debtors on 31st March is 1.2 lakhs. Okay, so let us start. What we need to do here is we need to prepare something called a sundry debtors account. Okay, or the total sundry debtors account, total debtors account. So we start with the opening balance. In the opening balance is 1 lakh. This is as of 1st April 2018, which has been given in the problem. Okay, and then what is the credit sales? You don't know what is the credit sales. That is going to be the balancing figure, so just leave it blank. Then cash received from the debtors is 2.3 lakhs. It is given in the problem. Then discount allowed is 5,000. And then you have returns inward, which is 25,000, and you have the closing balance, which is 1.2 lakhs. So you add all of the items on the credit side. Okay, you get to 3.8 lakhs. So you extend this total to the debit side, 3.8, and then you see what is the balancing figure. It is going to be 2.8 lakhs. So the credit sales is 2.8 lakhs. And again, whenever you do the accounts, you always on the top left you put a debit, and top right you also put a credit, dr cr, to denote it's a debit and a credit. Okay, so the credit sales in this case is 2.8 lakhs. Fine. So with this, I think we will stop this session for the time being here, and we will continue with the solutions for the rest of the exercise in our next video. Thank you.